Welcome to A Great Day with Hunter Mizar. His special guests today are John and Carol Stuart. Here's Hunter.
Hello, welcome to A Great Day with Hunter Mizar. We're highlighting great people in the community, and this week I get to sit down with John and Carol Stuart, who have just been great assets for our community. So you guys have been together for quite some time, right? I mean, tell me a little bit about your relationship and your background.
Well, she can tell the story better, but we did meet at a Clackamas County Sheriff's Academy in Clackamas, Oregon.
As Explorer Scouts.
We were Explorer Scouts. We were 16 years old.
16.
So we met in the Clackamas Community College auditorium. And, I pulled her hair sitting behind her.
Very romantic.
And,
it worked.
And the rest is history.
Wow. So you got married how many years afterwards?
3.5.
3.5. So you were 19 when you got married. Wow.
Yeah.
I just turned 20.
And how many years has it been that you've been married?
3.
3. Good years.
No. 40, going to be 46.
Wow, that's
now
amazing.
People can add, you know.
Yeah. So you didn't grow up in Weiser, though?
No.
What brought you guys to Weiser? I mean, how old were you guys when you came to Weiser?
27?
Yeah, 27, 28 years old.
And what brought you here?
So I was working for a cable TV company. I was an operations manager for the Portland metro area.
Okay.
So,
Really young.
a very large operation over there, and I got a call from my folks who were running Midvale Telephone.
Okay.
Grandparents, step-grandparents, but grandparents had bought that in 1942. So
wow.
they were looking at their future and retiring someday. And so they said, why don't you come over and try the telephone business for a few years.
Wow.
And so we moved over here. I was looking at promotions there, but we were going to have to move to someplace like Salt Lake or Seattle or something like that. So this was a great option and a great opportunity to raise our kids. Our oldest was in first grade.
First grade.
Okay.
And so it was really the time to move.
Yeah, sure.
So it kind of all worked out.
Okay.
So we tried it for a few years, and that was 37-ish years later.
Wow. Okay. And with that, you were running a Radio Shack, right, back in the day?
Did that, did the ordering, did the inventory, did all. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had phone service in Midvale, Idaho, and then we had service in Harper and Gentile, Oregon at the time.
Yeah.
And we had just opened what we called a telephone and communications store out on the highway. And it really wasn't a big revenue generator.
Yeah.
And so it was a decision of do more or less. And so we decided to do more.
Okay.
And we got a Radio Shack franchise and ran that for
16 years?
16 years.
Wow. So where was it located?
In the mini mall downtown.
I think there's a little church in there now.
Oh, okay.
And that's
it's kind of like Weiser Classic Candy.
It was fun back in the day down there because it was completely full and you'd go out and it was great.
Yeah, the Radio Shack was there, the Fawn Switch Factory was there, and Mr. Smith's Paint.
Okay.
And then there was some various
Martha was
downstairs.
across the hall. She was at next door.
Oh, okay.
Calico Corner. So it was just, it was kind of like a big family. You'd go down there and you'd work and then you'd all go out and have lunch in the middle of the thing.
Yeah. Wow. So then somewhere along the line, you got interested in firefighting. How did that come to be?
The chief at the time was Darwin Adams.
Okay.
And my recollection was I was at a ball game, basketball or something, and sitting next to him. And he recruited me at the ball game.
Okay.
I didn't really know.
Was it separated back then of county and city?
Yeah.
Okay, so
department.
The rural is the one who recruited you? Okay.
And sounded like something kind of fun to do.
Okay.
And so started doing that. Just showed up like the next week at a drill and kind of went from there.
Wow. So how many years did you do that for?
35.
Wow. And you just retired?
Retired last September. It was September of '88 that I started.
Okay. I have to imagine there was a lot of restless nights as he's off fighting fires. I mean, what does that look like as a firefighter's wife?
You know, it's interesting. I only have one that really scared me.
Okay.
Because we, of course, have a scanner. You know, we
Yeah,
have to have
of
a
course.
scanner.
Yeah.
And it was up where the, what is it, where
The tower.
the
for
tower,
radio.
yeah, for the radio is, and we're listening to him, and all of a sudden he comes on, I've got fire 360, which means he is completely
Wow.
surrounded, right?
Wow.
And then I was like,
Ugh.
but then he takes me up there and it's, oh, it wasn't that close. It's like from here to the door.
Yeah.
That's the only time that really, because they do so much training, I didn't really
Yeah,
panic on those.
yeah,
Irritated, you know, we
Sure.
left at dinner places and, you
yeah.
know, grocery stores,
Uh-huh.
weddings.
But I mean, you've had family kind of follow suit then. I mean, now this has kind of become a family business, if you will, right? I mean, what does that look like?
2 son-in-laws that are captains on the department. I retired as assistant chief.
Okay.
Son, who's a firefighter.
Yeah.
And he's involved with the Region 3, I think it is, hazmat.
Yeah.
Out of Caldwell.
That's scary.
And then his fiance is joined the department, so she started doing that.
Okay.
Had a daughter who was a junior firefighter for a little while when she was in high school.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. So how do you balance the two of being a firefighter and then owning a business? And I mean, sounds like there was demands on both ends. How did you navigate all that? Plus being parents of kids and all that. I mean, how does that work?
It's called having a great support system.
Yeah. Okay.
As a wife.
Yeah.
Who's understanding and,
Uh-huh.
and really supportive of all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
even volunteering and other aspects,
Mhm.
doing planning and zoning or economic development issues,
Yeah.
or national associations that I was involved with on the telephone side.
Yeah.
And so it's really just being focused
Sure.
and prioritizing.
Yeah.
And when it was something important with family that you needed to go to, then you prioritize that.
Sure.
But
Wow.
it's a partnership. It's not.
Yeah,
It's
it'd
not
have
an
to be.
individual.
Sure.
And I was blessed to be an at-home mom all those years.
Yeah.
You know, when we started having children,
Yeah.
had to decide, we wanted to raise our children.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, at the time, I was making more than he was, but he had the potential to make more.
Yeah.
And I stayed home and I raised children.
Wow.
And people say, you don't understand, you need 2 incomes. Well, I think maybe now more, but at the
Yeah,
time,
sure.
we didn't have fancy cars and boats and,
Yeah.
you know, you
Yeah.
prioritize.
Sure. Sure.
And they've all grown up to be nice adults,
What a blessing. And they're all nearby?
all on the same street as us.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they all live on West First Street right now.
Okay. Yeah. So you didn't leave Weiser. I mean, what was it that you loved about Weiser that kept you here for all these generations now? Kids have come now and grandkids are growing up. I mean, what was it about Weiser that was the right fit that made it stick?
You know, I really had a good time in junior high. And I always said, it reminded me of junior high. No matter where you walked,
Yeah.
you would talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Our date night would be to go to, it was IGA at the time,
Uh-huh.
or Farm Brothers or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And we'd go over to get a gallon of milk. Took you an hour to get out of there because you had to chit chat with everybody.
Yeah.
So I think that, yeah, it was that community feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're living in the Portland metro area, it's really easy to be anonymous
Yeah.
and not be involved with anything.
Yeah.
And if you choose, in Weiser, you can be involved in a lot of stuff and really influence the community.
Sure.
And so being able to be part of something and influence it and feel like you've contributed is a big part of that.
Yeah. So what made you come to the decision to retire? I mean, that's a difficult transition for a lot of people trying to figure out, is it time to go into a new part of life? I mean, what made you come to those decisions, say, it's time?
I got old.
There is that.
Yeah.
No, it's, you look at what's important and what's the time of your life and the time period. The other thing is I had a surgery about 5 years ago where they removed a mass from my head, my brain, about the size of a ping pong ball.
Whoa.
And so those
That
types
sounds life-threatening. I mean, how?
Yeah, I mean, everybody thinks you're really anxious about it, and I was pretty comfortable.
It was you know, I don't know how far you guys want to go on this, but
Yeah.
I always say it was a miracle. His
Yeah.
was a miracle. He had been being treated for a sinus infection,
Okay.
and he ended up collapsing.
Oh.
So when we took him in, they said blah 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 blah, and they were going to send him for a CAT scan.
Yeah.
And there's a whole big story there, but
Yeah.
they put him. We were at Weimar getting medication, and we get this phone call. He needs to come back in because we found something. They had sent it off. So we come back, and they met him at the door and said, "John Stewart," and he said, "Yeah." She says, "Come on." They had him on a gurney hooked up, and we were out the door in less than 30 minutes
Oh,
to
wow.
Boise.
Wow.
And
That was a Monday.
And that the guy that looked at it in Boise was somebody that comes from North Carolina or South Carolina, and he said, "This is a surgery for Dr. Duckworth,
Wow.
who is an amazing brain surgeon."
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
It just, yeah. And he just, sorry, I
Yeah.
rattled on.
No.
Anyway, so he did it. You know, he doesn't have a whole lot of personality, let's say, but he was very, very good. And I have never understood peace that passes understanding.
Yeah.
And we had real peace through this whole thing,
Wow.
through him being down there. And it was a miracle from God. I mean,
Yeah,
it just was. And
sounds
he
like it.
never had the pain in the back of the head when we went down there.
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, how's your pain?" He says, "Well, I've not had any."
Wow.
And they said, everybody has pain there because it's one of the worst places you can cut because it's the muscles.
Yeah.
Muscles. And he never took a pain pill.
Wow.
So if that's not a miracle
Yeah.
from God,
Wow. Yeah.
I took 2 Tylenol
That sounds like a man.
on Thursday. Well,
he didn't have any pain.
my forehead hurt, and the way they do the surgery, they put you in a halo, they flip you upside down and stand you on your head.
Right.
And apparently that bruised. And so
This is your forehead.
that's what
Wow.
but I went in on Monday, surgery was Wednesday, and
Yeah.
I came home Friday.
Wow.
And actually,
He was supposed to be in there for 2 weeks.
Monday, I actually went into the office for a short meeting.
Wow.
So it is one of those miracle kind of things. But those things do stick with you, and
Sure.
it's like those kinds of things can happen at any time. So if we have the ability and the means to retire,
Sure.
it was really time. And I remember talking to our financial advisor and asked him when I should plan on retiring. This was a few years ago. And he came back the next day. We were at a meeting for employees. And he said, "I'd pull the trigger.
Yeah.
As soon as you feel like you want to do it, I wouldn't wait."
Yeah.
And so that was...
And no regrets, right? I mean,
no.
Yeah.
You know, and as for me, it's harder to get used to him not being a firefighter than it was not going to work. I love having him home every day.
Yeah.
But if he was on call, we would take 2 separate vehicles to church.
Sure.
If we were going to go out to dinner, we got smarter as we got older.
Yeah.
We would take 2 vehicles because my kids liked it because when they got older, he would leave for a fire and I'd call him to come get me and they'd get deep prime rib. I have a daughter that loves that. Sarah thinks that's okay.
Yeah. Wow. Well, what a great story. And you guys have really kind of epitomized Weiser. You've been just such great volunteers and parts of this community, and then have raised children that become great parts of the community as well. What a blessing you've been to our community. So thanks for all that you do. And thank you for watching A Great Day with Hunter Mizar. We'll see you real soon.